Hey there, and thanks for coming back for another episode of Collecting Glimmers with me. My name is Mike. Disney Dad Canada is what I go by both here and on Instagram. So feel free to send me a message, follow along, do whatever you like to do, and just reach out generally and talk about this great collecting journey that myself, my kids, and all of us are on together in collecting, playing, and enjoying Disney Lorcana. Um, it continues to be a slow news week, so we're gonna. And again, I don't really want to focus on news too much here. I think there's enough avenues for that, but I want to focus more on the collector's experience, kind of guiding people with what I think is about to happen, prognosticating, talking about things, being right, being wrong, having fun with it, and spending within our means. I think the calm before the storm right now is important to just kind of. I think I have perhaps not been clear in my messaging as to what I think, where I think this portion of the hobby is going, and what I think you should be doing or considering doing, or with your collection, both in the short term and the long term. I think it's really important to note that there is the potential that following the World Championships coming up this weekend, which is exciting. I wish it was at a different time. Selfishly, here in Canada, we have Canada Day weekend coming up, and many of us will be on an extended 4 day long weekend because of it. I'll be away at a cottage with family and friends, so I think I'll have to tune in after the fact and probably get some spoilers about who's won and things like that. But I do look forward to checking out the recaps of how things went and and how it was received. I think that in some of my previous messaging, I was saying this is the time to buy Lorcana, and I want to preface that a little bit. I do think that this is a good time to buy collectibles in Lorcana for the reason of you want to add it to your personal collection as cheaply as possible, and you think the opportunity might not be there in the long term, anyways, for it to have pricing better than this. I believe in that, but the short term stuff, I'm not entirely convinced that you will see great gains in your collections for at least a couple months, and I'm thinking probably closer to a year or so. And it does tie into Worlds in some respects and the news that will come out of it and things like that. But like, put it this way, I think for collectors, the World Championships could have been a tipping point. It could have been one of those events that takes our collecting and what we're doing right now from one level of notoriety and visibility to an entirely different level. But I think with having a closed worlds forum, I don't expect that to happen this go around. In fact, I expect that the worlds to have almost little to no impact, except for maybe reaching people that are already in the parks and telling them about it. And school summer vacation is, my kids have 2 more days left of school. People are out; they might be heading to Disney, so there might be some buzz around the parks. But I don't think that's anything to really put any kind of dent into our collectors market, the players market. I think it's just all very much a drop in the bucket. There may very well be substantial Fable news released this weekend, so that might start to lead to the building of hype. I think that what we as collectors, if we want to see more value in our collections, so we want to hedge this. We don't want to spend as much for what we want, but we want our collections ultimately to be more valuable than what we paid for it by the time we move on from this hobby or this earth, right? Like that's kind of for me. I want whatever I'm spending now, ideally in a perfect world. It would be nice if it would be worth more down the line when when I choose to sell it because my kids don't want to take it with them, or I want to use it to fund some future endeavors for them. That's just a greater purpose in their lives than collecting Disney cards. And I don't mean to sound down on it, but that's pretty much the only reason I think I could see myself selling in the shorter or even long term, really. My goal is for these to become reasonably valuable, a top three collectible TCG in the next 20 years, and pass them on to my kids and my grandkids so they can do whatever they want with them or sell them to give them more cash before I die as an inheritance. So that's the way I collect. That's the way I think. I do like to play. I do like to collect. I want to make a lot of experiences that I've shared with you guys over the course of time. But that's my end game. That's always how I'm thinking when it comes to any collectibles in my life. And I came from a baseball collecting background before this, so that's how I think. Getting all that together, I don't think that any fabled news. I think fabled news will start to trickle out into the mainstream, and there is the potential that because Pokemon is so darn expensive right now, and I think people are exhausted by paying extremely high Pokemon prices, that there might be the opportunity that once they realize those sneakerheads, and I don't want to sound bad about this, the flippers, the scalpers, these people, they might enter. A lot of them might have been burned by Lorcana a couple of years ago when they couldn't quite get it, and the pull rates were horrible, and it was just like it was hard to get. It was really expensive, and the pack opening experience was trash. So I think a lot of people got soured on Lorcana. They said, "Oh, this is going to be a failed product," and that's why when you talk to people about Lorcana collecting that don't take it as seriously as you probably do or I do, sitting down here making and watching this video, they just think, "Oh no, it's not. It doesn't have a chance." But they're thinking about the fact that there was no real visible rarity enhancements out of Enchanted. Fabled is going to do a lot for the collector experience, and how quickly that impacts our market will be interesting to see. So I think the main point of this video is you have time. I've talked about this being like, I do expect a boon in our collecting. I expect it based on the IP, the fact that Ravensburger has clearly made the right decisions and put the pieces in place for this all to be a collectible and a successful collectible product. But I think, we might have 2 or 3 months before things really pop off. We might have a year or two. And I did want to come on here and say that because I think sometimes I speak with a little bit more urgency because I'm excited about it. But I think that also, like, let's take a Mufasa Enchanted. It's my favorite. $220 US. Could it bump to 250 overnight? Yeah, absolutely. Me as a collector, do I care about that kind of increase? Not tremendously. As somebody who has a long-term vision on this and doesn't mind waiting for cyclical market, because what's old is new again, what's hot is cold again. If you wait long enough, eventually you're going to be where you want to be. It's just, do you have the patience and the capital to be able to wait? I have both of those things. So I think that what I want to stress right now is there might be buying opportunities where you can save 20 or 30 or 40 or $50. And that might be very valuable to you. And if that is, then I would probably act with a little bit more urgency. But what I would say is that I still think we have until at least the release of Fabled, and we'll see how that catches on in terms of mainstream appeal. If you get a Logan Paul influencer, if you get a CNN headline on it, then who's to say, right? But I think those are the only things that would really elevate it quickly without us having the opportunity to react and truly make gains for our collecting budgets. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm extremely excited about Lorcana. I've been buying singles, legendaries, super rares, playables that I think I've seen some Shimmering Skies on for cheap up here in Toys R Us. We still have that here in Canada. So I think that I picked up a few boxes and troves and packs. So I'm still very much interested, but this is a slow time for us. And I do expect from the collectors, it's going to take more steam for the collector to really pick up. Because yes, we lean on. There's a couple things. We are very much dominated in the collector space by meta playable people making our cards expensive. So because the meta is a little stale right now and rotation hasn't given us any, we don't know what's in Fabled, so we don't know what's being rotated. I think that inherently makes our market stagnant, and the collectors feel it just as much as the players. But I think once that news starts to release, we will have a little bit more certainty. We'll have a bit more of an understanding, and you'll either have to be nimble to try and move your assets quickly to go off of that rotation news and see if you can make gains out of that. But really, to me, the play that you should be making now, and the one that I'm doing, is cheap playables that have a chance in that are from sets 5 through 8 right now that you can pick up, in bulk or play sets or things like that. Collectible promo cards on the cheap. I'm making a lot of $1 to $2 to $5 to $10 purchases right now. I'm not making a lot of $200 to $300 to $400 purchases right now. So that's I would say that's probably the best thing to do. Make those sharp plays. If you follow, you listen to podcasts like I do, watch all these folks on YouTube. There's always new things to think about. I've been really digging into the card down in New Orleans. I think it's got a chance to be playable for me in set 8 championship. Spoilers here for anybody that I might see at one of the local Toronto area events there for set champs. But like, so I'm trying to think outside the box. I'm trying to elevate my gameplay understanding so I can become a better collector, and that's what I would preach right now. I'd preach patience. I'd preach listening. I'd preach following the meta, trying to understand true where these high end players, and learning about them as they play it out at Worlds. As we see all these varied game types, perhaps some of these different cards with these new formats, triple constructed, super sealed. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that they're doing coming into Worlds, and maybe some cards get some shine out of that too. So have your foils ready to trade coming off of Worlds. Have a good idea of where the meta's heading. Listen to these pro players. Listen to what they see as really important cards. And I think we're just going to see a lot of fun come out of here. We're going to see some fun combinations and hopefully a fresh, diverse gameplay arena that will help to facilitate Fabled, which I fully expect will start to bring more collectors on board with a better pack opening experience. So with that, guys, I wish you all the best. Happy Canada Day. Happy 4th of July if I don't check in to for my American friends before then. And just continued success on the collecting front. Stay vigilant, have fun, and stay within your means. But I think there's some fun for us guys, and I can't wait to see how this all plays out. So until next time, thanks for joining me as always. I really appreciate it, and take care of yourself. All the best.